Where did the American Revolution come from? The American Revolution seems to be influenced in equal parts both by the liberal ideology of the era, but also the religious character of America at this time. So, to trace the revolution politically, we would arrive at an ideology that is largely based on Whig politics of the era. So the Whigs were a political party. They sat opposite the Tories. They were a party that advocated for the rights of man and generally were, to really simplify, capitalist liberals. They were, of course, the party that opposed the Catholic monarchy of 1685, and they brought in William, who, while welcomed in England, arrived with a brutal show of force in Scotland and Ireland. It is important to note that Whig politicians in Parliament actually supported the American Revolution while it was ongoing. However, we can take a little bit of a different angle. During the 17th century in the UK, then called the Three Kingdoms, you had a web of intricate alliances and massive power struggles. The Catholics, most largely represented by the so-called Jacobite politicians later on, were at this point in bed with the Scottish dissenters, who were radical Protestants who had both fought with and against Cromwell and the parliamentarians in the English Civil War. It was these parliamentarians who were the so-called English dissenters. They disagreed heavily with Anglican Protestantism, also known as the Church of England. These dissenters might have a more familiar name to us. Of course, they are the Methodists and Baptists of today. They may have been religious extremists for their era, but they also strangely had what was on the surface an incoherent ideology, but internally justified. But that's for another time. Here we only need to say that these men and women, the banished and the unwanted, went to the New World, and while the Scottish dissenters heavily influenced the thinking and literature that would lead to the French and American revolutions, and by extension modern liberalism, through their strange web of meritocratic, theocratic ideas, the English dissenters were instead doing all their work, boots on the ground. And that's why America has such a weird religious makeup, but that's another video.